When we lead ourselves, it is really important to understand values. And it's even more important when we lead other people, since we as leaders spread values to those we lead through what we say and what we do. And understanding values can also help us a lot when we want to create change, but face resistance or lack support from people around us. This is a quite common situation for those of us that want to make it possible for girls and women to have the same rights and opportunities as boys and men in the world of football. But we know that it's possible to work for equality even when we face resistance. The key is to use values and understand how we can use values to our advantage while having an open mindset with those we meet. So, to understand how that works, let me tell you about one of our coaches, Melissa. She lives in an area with a football club that has several teams for boys and men, but only one girls' football team. So Melissa had just finished the Football da Forza training, and she felt really inspired and wanted to start up a girls' team in the club. So Melissa went to the club and told them that she wanted to start open training sessions and in the future start up a girls' team. The man who runs the club didn't really think that it was a good idea. He doubts that there are any girls that want to play football, and he's not that keen to use scarce training hours on the pitch to run open sessions for girls. So right at the start, Melissa is faced with a challenge. She wants to start these trainings, meaning that she wants to change something in her surroundings based on her values. But the first thing she hears is, "No, you can't. We don't want to help you." So, based on what Melissa had learned during the Football da Forza training, she decided to listen to the decision maker in the club with an open mindset, even when facing this resistance. In order to understand him better, she asks some questions with the aim to get to know him better and understand his point of view. She understands that he thinks it's important that all children get to play football, but that the club has a lack of resources and he has a huge amount of work to do. It also seems that he has never actually met any girls that have shown an interest in playing football, but he knows that there are so many more boys that do want to play. Melissa listens to him, and to be honest, she does not agree with him. For example, she knows that there are definitely girls that want to play football. He probably just hasn't met them himself. But despite the fact that she doesn't agree with him, she's careful to not judge him. She simply listens, and then after showing him that she listens and respects him, she tells him about her idea and about how valuable it is to have open training sessions for girls. She also tells him about her conviction that there are girls that do want to play football. She explains that she will take full responsibility for recruiting the girls and organizing the trainings, and explains that they don't actually need any resources from the club. They just need access to the pitch once a week and a football to begin with. So she shows him an alternative and why she believes in it. And when he hears all this, he's still not convinced. But due to the way that Melissa treated him, he treats her the same way, by listening. And when he listens, he understands that he doesn't actually need to do anything himself, and that the club doesn't need to provide any resources. And so he agrees, even though he does that somewhat reluctantly. So it's not strange that we sometimes, or even often, face resistance when we want to create change. Many times people are afraid of change because they don't know what will happen or how that change will affect them. And then they tend to think that it's better to just keep things as they are. There is also a great diversity of people in the world, and not everyone shares the same values. But we tend to think that our values are the only right or true values, which often leaves us judgmental. But if we can let go of that idea, we know that it is possible to change our surroundings. And that the best way for us to do that is to be open to those who don't think in the same way as we do. So the best thing you can do in a situation when you want to create change but face resistance is to be open and even curious to understand what the other person is thinking and why they speak and act in the way they do. Maybe there is something that they are afraid of. You often understand that best by starting a conversation where you listen to understand what values have shaped what the other person is saying and thinking, so that you then from there can have a discussion about what you want to achieve without judgment. In that way, it is always possible to create a positive change in your community.